Hello and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. Ethereum also performed quite well today. Not too much has happened since my last video. So if you watched the last video, you already know most of what I'm going to talk about. However, I want to share with you another alternative interpretation of the microstructure up there. This would be a very bullish interpretation, not necessarily what I believe primarily, but definitely worth considering just in case it suddenly escalates directly. So the idea was that in this orange support area, the wave 4 would form a low here on the 17th of November. It did that. The price rallied then in a wave 1 to the upside, came down in a wave 2, and is basically now rallying in a wave 3. The wave 3 already reached today the first ideal target, which is the 1.236 extension. Ideally, in a diagonal, the 1.38 extension is reached. But, you know, the 1.236, I would call that already an ideal target. It's just that the stronger, the better, you could say, okay? But it's okay, you know, it's done what it needs to do. And also, as a result, we saw a small, you could say, a sell-off. Small pullback at least. It's so far only in 3 waves, so no reason to panic. Also, we haven't taken out the previous swing low and all that stuff. So bottom line is the market did hold wave 4 support down here, even in this deep wave 2 or B wave in the alternative yellow interpretation. That's all okay, you know, nothing got invalidated. I assume we are moving up in the white wave count. That has been and is the primary scenario. And I assume that it is an ending diagonal because we're dealing with a wave 5 there, here. And the wave 5 can be an ending diagonal, and the diagonals are corrective, which means you have an ABC structure in the sub waves. So we have this kind of ABC structure, and the C wave, to be honest, could technically be complete. Now, you can argue that, if I zoom in a little bit, you can argue that we have 5 waves up already, so that this was the 4 and this was a 5. That's possible. Then I have the problem to say that the C wave is a little short. It's a little short compared to the A wave, okay? So normally they have roughly the same length, or the C wave is even a bit longer. Okay, but it would be valid, so that makes it difficult. We've got 5 waves, and we reached the ideal target. So that means, okay, you know, that third wave could technically be over, ready for the 4th and the 5th. What are the possibilities? Now, another possibility would be, if we say, okay, that's a bit short, could it be that the 5th wave is still unfolding and, well, or hasn't even started yet? And what happened here was just a wave 4 flat structure. A wave down, overshooting B wave, C wave down. Possible. Wave 4s often form such structures. It's just that it's quite huge, that structure, compared to the wave 2 down there, okay? But it's one possibility, and then the wave 5 would still happen and should push us to the next FIB extension at 2,148. This is, I think, a reasonable expectation. And then there's another idea where we say, okay, we possibly completed indeed 5 waves, but this is the wave 1 of wave C, and this is the wave 2 of wave C, and we are next going to rally in a wave 3 of wave C, and that could take us eventually to $2,300, $2,400. Essentially that we say, okay, wave C is still in the making, and has only really just started, and this was a wave 1, this is a wave 2, and we get a 3, 4, 5 of wave C of 3, then we get a 4 and a 5 higher, obviously. Again, not what I'm primarily watching for. I mentioned that scenario on the Bitcoin chart as well, because it's possible on the Bitcoin chart as well, but it's the same problem. I don't necessarily believe it. I mean, I am bullish, and I think we should push higher, but it would be a very direct escalation. Okay, possible. We have to consider it, right? I mean, as long as the trend is up, the trend is up. And as long as micro support levels are holding, we have to focus further on rising prices. Yeah, we'll see what that turns into. But I think this is sort of my, if you ask me about the structure on the micro level, this would be my preferred interpretation, to say that this 5th wave is basically still coming. But I would have to change my view if we go a little lower still. So if we go a little lower, then today's low, which was at around $2,080, then I will assume the current pullback is already there, is that wave 2 of C, and we will then potentially look at a much more aggressive rally. But I will update you possibly about that tomorrow, depending on what happens. But for now, we're still watching overall for higher prices. We would have to consider a more substantial top in place as soon as we see a break below that B wave low at $2,040. That's my update about ETH. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership and also make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Here you can find additional content every single day. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.